Because it is an absolute sort of example of that old expression that all political lives end in failure. I mean, just 11 weeks after being the most important person in Scotland, which she had been for decades, Nicola Sturgeon finds herself with the police knocking on the door, going through the house, questioning her personal and political life in tatters.
The police are on the front door, and she just...
How old are you, Andrew?
64.
64. So in 6 years' time...
Chicken, Andrew.
You'll hit the big 7. I'm just a few months from that now. And according to the front page of the Times this morning, and we've been following it up, and it's true...
You're really nearly 70.
Yeah, I'll be 70 next May. Anyway, moving on. Is it saving money, perfectly legitimate reason, by sending them back so we don't have to pay for their bed and board in prison? Or is it simply driven by a desire to get these bad eggs out of the country? Anyone, once they've hit 70, who wants to drive a car will need to have their eyes tested every 3 years. And we know how stubborn some older people can be about hanging up the car keys. I had a very close call as well a few years ago. I was driving back early in the morning from Cornwall, and I'd had a few to drink at a barbecue the afternoon before. And I was stopped, can't remember why, and I was breathalyzed. And again, I was under the limit. But I remember the coppers joking and said, "You've done brandy on your cornflakes, have you, Richard?" But it was from the afternoon before. Has the government got a bit of a tiger by the tail here in prescribing Palestine action when you see that kind of protest by that kind of person? I personally have witnessed 2 events in my local boots over the space of the last few weeks of just brazen shoplifting. I mean, on one occasion there was a guy with one arm sweeping birth control stuff off a lower shelf into a basket, actually had a basket. And there was nothing the staff could do except ask him to leave, which in his own good time, he did, he sauntered out. Cigarettes stubbed out on their faces, threatened with having acid poured over them and even having guns pointed at them. A&E staff in England are facing abhorrent levels of violence, with attacks now taking place 11 times a day. That's 1 every 2 hours. Squeezing another one in. He said nothing. He had nothing but praise for Putin. And he reiterated the canard that Zelensky was partly responsible for the invasion of Ukraine. There's it. Should we just go to God's own country, which is the British Cotswolds, the English Cotswolds?
Love that.
Going to be protests there later today. I'm sure there'll be very civilised protests against J.D. Vance taking a few days' holiday in the Cotswolds. What I loved about this story was the pictures from yesterday of Vance actually arriving in the Cotswolds. And not like us in a car, or maybe in a couple of cars, a cavalcade of, what was it, 18 vehicles.
We had to speed it up because we couldn't get through them quickly enough.
Who was in that? Baroness Smith of Malvern. Can I just ask you a completely irrelevant question about yourself? Why Malvern? No, why, I'm just curious. Why Malvern, Baroness Smith of Malvern? What's the connection?
I grew up in Malvern, Richard.
I see.
I went to school in Malvern, and I've lived in Malvern for the last 11, 12 years. I was at Malvern Town Football Club on just this Saturday, where we started the season with a 3-0 win. So there you go. Does that answer your question?
You got your plug in for the football club.
Have migrant camps away from communities, away from city centres, town centres, completely isolated, out in the countryside somewhere, where people seeking asylum, people seeking permission to stay here are kept. Almost like that's kind of I suppose, a slightly more benign Stalag Luft 6. Well, I'm looking at a message here from somebody called Lisa, who's emailed us to say that her son worked in a hospital in this country for 10 years. She says he had to put up with having full bedpans thrown all over him. Spat out seems to be a daily occurrence for people like you. Did you know that the Malvern Hills...
Good to talk to you, by the way. Thank you very much indeed.
The Malvern Hills, which are beautiful, are the highest point on land between them and the Russian steppes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but I bet Baroness Smith does.
She probably told me.
She probably does.